Hello everyone. Today I'll be discussing on capital budget. Capital budgeting. Financial decision making, it is always viewed as an integral part of overall management of any business organizations. And the overall development of a firm will depend on market development like entry of new product to the existing product line, terminating the existing product which is at decline stage, expansion of the plant or change of location. And the basic role of any finance manager, it is to allocate the capital in an efficient manner. And here the major problems that relates to the financial operations of any business organization are investment decision, financing decision, dividend decision. So here in this chapter, that is capital budgeting, we will only discuss about the investment decision. What is investment decision? Investment decision, this relates to the selection of assets in which funds will be invested by a firm. Acquisition of assets can be broadly classified into long-term assets and short-term assets. When you talk about long-term assets, the decision that regarding the long-term assets is called as capital budgeting, and the decision regarding the short-term assets is called as working capital management. In the capital budgeting, it is like planning of capital expenditure which yields over a number of years. And capital budgeting decision is to invest funds in the long-term assets of a firm, and these are quite significant because they influence the market value and the growth of the firm. Therefore, you can define capital budgeting decision as the firm's decision to invest its current funds most efficiently in long-term assets in anticipation of an expected flow of benefits over a series of years. And according to Charles T. Horngreen, capital budgeting is defined as the long-term planning for making and financing proposed capital outlays. And here features of capital budgeting. Here features like potentially it has large anticipated benefits and relatively high degree of risk, relatively long period between the initial outlay and the anticipated returns. Significance of capital budgeting. Under this you have it has long-term implication. It requires a large amount of funds. It is the most critical and difficult decision, and the last one is it is not reversible. Let us see in detail. The first one is it has long-term implication. Capital budgeting proposals are of long duration, say between 5 to 15 years, and hence they have long-term implication. And the second one is it requires a large amount of funds. Capital budgeting decision, it requires large amount of capital outlay, and the company should carefully plan its capital budgeting programs so that what happens, it may get the funds at the right time and also putting the funds to the most profitable use. And always you remember, like a wise investment, it can maximize the wealth of the company, and a wrong decision, that is incorrect decisions, will pose threat to the profitable position of any business organization, and also sometimes it may cause for the closure of the company. And the third one is it is the most critical and difficult decision. Capital budgeting decision, it involves forecasting of future benefits, which is almost uncertain. For example, you can take it as like a difficulty in projecting the sales revenue, cost and benefits of the company. Why? Because this is influenced by economic, political, social and technological factors. And here incorrect forecast of assets, it can result in serious consequences of the company's performance. And the last one is it is not reversible. It is not reversible in the sense irreversible decision. Whenever you are taking the capital budgeting decision, these decisions are irreversible in nature. Why? Because it is very difficult to find a market for such capital terms once they are acquired. And the complications which are underlying capital budgeting decisions are First one is varying cash flows at different points of time and time value factor. Varying cash flows at different points of time. Generally what happens, cash flow occurs at different points of time in future. The cash flow here, in the sense here we are talking about cash inflows and outflows that are estimated. Okay, since the future is uncertain, the process of estimating future cash flows, it needs to be specialized task. And the second one is time value factor. Time value factor means here cash inflows occurring at different points of time have to be compared with the corresponding cash outflows, and here we use the concept of time value of money. Types of capital budgeting. Under types of capital budgeting, we have three different types: independent project, mutually exclusive projects, and contingent project. The first one is independent project. Independent project, you can define it as these are the projects which do not compete with each other, and this depends upon the profitability of the projects and also the availability of funds. And a company can undertake any number of projects under independent project. And the second one is mutually exclusive projects. Mutually exclusive projects means these are the projects when one cannot be taken up simultaneously with the other. In other words, you can define mutually exclusive project as here acceptance of one project, it causes the rejection of another project. And the third one is contingent project. Contingent project means acceptance of one project proposal will depend upon the acceptance of one or more projects. So this is called as contingent projects. And here for example, like you can take that when you want to acquire new machinery which is dependent upon the expansion of plant or replacement of old machinery or replacement of labor force. Process of capital budgeting. The capital budgeting process, it involves generation of investment proposals, estimation of cash flows, evaluation of cash flows, selecting the project which has to be based on the acceptance criteria, and lastly the continual revaluation of investments after their acceptance. And the steps that are involved in capital budgeting process are project generation, project evaluation, project selection, project execution, and follow up. The first one, project generation. Project generation, this is the stage where the company has to identify the proposals that are to be undertaken, and this depends upon its future plan of activity. And here, based on the identification of the proposals, they can be grouped according to the categories like replacement of equipment, expansion, diversification, and research and development. The first one, replacement of equipment. Here, replacement of equipment means replacing the old and outdated equipment with new and modern equipment. And the second one is expansion. Here, expansion means increasing the capacity in the existing product line or by purchasing additional equipment. And the third one is diversification. Diversification here means it is by way of producing various products and also entering into different markets. Research and development. This research and development with a view to innovate new methods of production, not only that, new products and new sources and new technology. And the second one is project evaluation. The process of project evaluation, it involves steps like estimation of benefits and cost, and also selecting of an appropriate criteria in order to judge the desirability of the project. And when we talk about the estimation of benefits and costs, and these are especially measured in terms of cash flows. When we talk about cash flows, we are talking about both cash inflows and outflows. And the third one is project selection. Project selection, there is no standard procedure for approving the investment decision, and this selection procedure will differ from firm to firm. And the fourth one is project execution. Project execution, here the top management, or you can call it as project execution committee. These are the people who is responsible for effective utilization of funds allocated for the project. And the last one is project review or follow up. After executing, there should be a continuous monitoring of the project, and this is necessary so that expected and actual operating results are compared. And why capital budgeting is necessary? Capital budgeting is necessary in order to reduce the cost and also to increase the revenue. And here, when we talk about why to reduce the cost and why to increase the revenue, why? Because to make the company most efficient and profitable, and also to compete with the competitors. Capital budgeting decisions. Here in this slide I gave some examples that are related to the capital budgeting decisions, like construction of building, interior, buying a machinery, producing a new product, for startups to take the decision for the expansion programs, for R&D development, for advertising the product, or safety measures in the organization, or labor agreements. These are the few examples that are related to the capital budget. Kinds of capital budgeting decisions. Under this you have replacement, expansion, diversification, research and development. The first one, replacement. Replacement means here replacing the old and outdated equipment with the new and modern equipment. And the second one is expansion. Expansion is to add capacity to the existing product lines. And the third one is diversification. Diversification is for what? Diversification is to reduce the risk of failure by operating in more than one market. And the last one is research and development. Research and development is in order to sustain and to compete with the market. It is necessary for every organization to innovate new methods of production, new products, new sources and new technology. Thank you. If you like this video, please comment, like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.